The Sadegor Rebbe, son of the Rizhiner Rebbe, told the following story about the Baal Shem Tov HaKodesh. You see, the Baal Shem Tov, he said, had a custom once a year, at the same time every year. The Baal Shem Tov would go to a certain Ukrainian town. He would always stay at the exact same host, a very wealthy man in that town. And it became known that this is how things were. Each year, at the same time, they would expect him. Therefore, Alexei, the carriage driver of the Baal Shem Tov, was surprised when once, out of the ordinary, on a certain Friday afternoon, the Baal Shem Tov asked him to take him to that town. He came to town, everyone surprised and shocked to see him there. Immediately he asked to be dropped at the big synagogue. And he started making his Shabbos preparations. Word spread around town until eventually it got to the wealthy host where the Baal Shem Tov usually stayed, that the Baal Shem Tov was here unexpectedly and he was planning on staying the entire Shabbat at the big synagogue. The host was alarmed by this. He ran to the synagogue, came to the Baal Shem Tov, welcomed him, and he said, "Please be my guest as you always are." The Baal Shem Tov declined. They began to enter the Shabbos first by praying the afternoon prayer and then doing the welcoming prayers of Shabbos, Kabbalat Shabbat. And after concluding prayers, instead of allowing all the congregants to return to their homes to celebrate Shabbos as they should with a proper meal with their families, the Baal Shem Tov asked that they stay late, reading Psalms of King David. Indeed, this is what they did for hours until finally, before midnight, the Baal Shem Tov excused them and said that they should all go to their homes to enjoy their meals, but then after their meals, he said they should return back. Meanwhile, the Baal Shem Tov signaled that someone should bring his meal to the shul, to the synagogue, so he could eat there. Everyone found everything that was happening quite bizarre. Everyone returned after their meals, and they continued to pray throughout the night. Finally, after a long night, they prayed the morning prayers, and the Baal Shem Tov excused everyone to go home. And he turned to the wealthy host and he says, "I will now take you up for your offer, and I will go and eat by you." Indeed, he did. As he was in the middle of the meal, strangely, there was a knock at the door, and a non-Jew was there. Immediately he asked for a drink of alcohol. The Baal Shem Tov instructed that someone give him this drink of alcohol, asked him to sit down, and said to him, "Please tell us what happened, what you saw over the course of the night." The non-Jew said that last night, the Poritz, the landowner of this entire region, summoned all of the non-Jews to come and to bring all the weapons they have with them to his estate. He explained to them that he had a great amount of grain in his granary, and that all of them had spoiled. And after discussing it with all his friends, the people he trusted, they had come to the conclusion that the ones that were to blame for this were the Jews. And he now wanted to arm everyone in order to go and ransack the Jewish villages that night. All of a sudden, as they were arming themselves, the non-Jew related, that a certain wagon arrived out of nowhere. A distinguished-looking man came out. He went inside with this porous, with this landowner, and was gone for about a half an hour, and then suddenly the landowner came out and told everyone to disperse to go back to their homes. The Baal Shem Tov said, I saw that there was a major gzeira, decree in the heavens, that something terrible was going to happen that night. And that's why I came to this area, and that's why we prayed throughout the night. But even with all the prayers and everything that we were doing, I saw that we weren't able to overturn this decree. So I called in a special favor. I called in an old friend of the landowner to come. However, this man has been dead for 40 years. He came, and upon seeing his old friend obviously invited him in. And he said, "Why are there so many fierce-looking individuals outside?" The Poritz explained, how his grains had all gone to rot, and how he had come up with an understanding that this was because of the Jews. To which his friend responded, "That's very strange. In all my years, I've never had bad dealings with Jews. In fact, I find them quite honest. I'm sure if you speak to them after their Sabbath, you'll find that they'll help you to offload the grains, and I'm sure you'll fetch an even better price than you could ever imagine with their help." And so, because of this word from his old friend, who the Baal Shem Tov said I had to call in a favor to bring back from the dead, the Poritz agreed to disperse the entire mob, and as a result, thank God, this entire village was saved. When the Sadigorer Rebbe related the story, he said that there was something strange about it. Probably many things strange, but one thing in particular to him. Why, if the Baal Shem Tov knew there was this horrible decree, did he have to go all the way to this village in order to sit with the congregants and pray? Surely he could have done the same thing at his own home, to sit and to pray and to try and overturn the decree. And the Sadigorer Rebbe says, just like Moses went ahead and he told God after the sin of the golden calf, if you're going to go ahead and wipe this people out, then take me from your book. So too the Baal Shem Tov said, if there's going to be a decree and I'm not able to overturn it, then let me be with them and let me go down with them. For a true leader, a true captain, goes down with his ship.